All right. I actually am happy. I'm good. So, I got a question for you guys before we get started. We're doing an episode
42.
on
no.
Clerics this
Blue.
week.
No green.
I have a question for you, Terry. We're doing a...
What's the point of it all? Why are we even here?
All right, so I would like to talk about... This is actually how every episode goes.
I like being helpful.
What is life if not just suffering?
So you'll be playing a rogue.
I've already had that character, I suppose.
I feel like my life's not my own. I guess I'm a warlock then, right?
Yeah. So we're doing clerics, and I'm sitting here looking at clerics and all their healy goodness, and I started to wonder, what the fuck is a hit point?
What is a hit point?
It is this archaic method of determining how much life you have.
How dare they?
You don't have a numerical value to your vitality? Just that you know right off the top of your head?
Mine is a 69!
Nice! Nice!
Oh, God. Oh, God. Like, it doesn't matter if you have 100 hit points or 1 hit point. You're still technically just as effective. But if you hit 0, everything goes.
Yeah, so...
This is the one thing about Dungeons & Dragons and, like, D20, the D20 system specifically that I've always had problems with. And it is that. It's the... You could have 200 hit points. You could have 1 hit point. You are the same level of effectiveness. I've played systems that are like D10 systems or D6 systems where, based off of the amount of like damage you've taken, you enter into like a wounded zone. Or
like in one go. Like if you take 50 hit points.
Well, no. Like based off of your total quote unquote hit points, you'll hit into.
Fourth Ed did that. Fourth Ed had where if you dropped to 50% of your hit points, you were considered bloodied.
Yeah.
And there would be some enemies like gnolls. If an enemy gets bloodied in front of them, they go into a frenzy and they get bonus.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I like that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's something that I would steal, I think, all the time.
I would use that.
But
what about the 0 hit point?
The 0 hit point is unconsciousness, then you're on death saves in 5th Ed. But what is hit point? Is it health? In my head, it's stamina and vitality.
Yeah.
Because it's not strength. We have a strength stat. It's your constitution, right? It's connected to your con. So it's how well you can handle getting punched in the head.
It's like your toughness. In Warhammer, it would be your toughness.
Yeah, it would be your toughness.
Isn't that your AC?
Yes, in Warhammer, but they're kind of the same thing. But no, what I would say is like it's you look at what you have to roll a Constitution check for. You're holding your breath. You're going for a long run. You're doing these things that would affect your stamina.
Yeah,
and that is.
But none of these things are directly related to hit points.
Except Constitution itself is directly related to hit points.
Right, but your ability to hold your breath is not.
Yeah.
Right. So your ability to concentrate while taking hits.
Yeah, that's more athletics,
not, right?
You know,
so
yeah. Okay. I don't know, but I like the idea of having a scale where you enter a bloodied condition. In fact, when you Adam, your crit tables, you kind of do that because you can lose limbs from a single attack. So you actually make it possible that your body can be affected by attacks.
I look at boxers. This is how I think of hit points. With boxers, they're not taking physical... I mean, they're taking physical damage. They're not opening wounds, right, is my point. Sometimes they are, but it is how many times can you get hit in the head? Yeah. Some guys are just better at it than others.
Yeah.
Because they've pumped into that stat in their training, right? So... like, for lack of a better analogy,
how do you pump into your
that is
get
the
hit in the face stat?
way of describing sports ever. Boxers are pumped into that stat more than the others.
Hold on. Let me introduce you to baseball stats, my friend.
Oh, God.
We'll talk about nerds.
No, I can't. I can't watch. I only watch real sports.
So I was listening to your podcast. I know nothing about baseball, and all of our American fans our listeners are going to be like, "What the hell?"
Look, it's a load of dudes.
Is it true that they have a stat purely based on the amount of times you've messed up?
Yeah.
Like, it's called an error or whatever. Why do they keep track of that? Like, what kind of things go into an error?
I don't like baseball because it feels like they're playing a children's game and nobody's called them on it. It
Yeah,
feels
right?
like I'm like, this is a kid's game.
Just because nobody knows what a thwitwiffle and a wicket is doesn't mean they should be playing freaking cricket.
And why is a wicket sticky? Like, what happens with a sticky wicket?
Sticky wicket.
We're playing two very different games of cricket.
Sticky wicket.
And why is he called a bowler, but he like hurls the ball overhand?
Well,
at
no,
people?
technically the bowler bowls the ball, Daniel. That is his job.
You just got like super British. Like,
how dare you?
You've lost your accent
You
for
shut
however
up.
long you've been in Canada, and then like we sort of brought up cricket, and you just got like high end. This is awesome.
It's just
So So, no, yes, I can answer the question. We'll do a baseball episode. Everybody, hold your breath. Let us know if you want to hear a baseball
Can we do
episode.
a hockey one first? I mean, we're Canadian.
Well, yeah, but I was actually an umpire for 6 years, so...
Yeah, you're wearing your Blue Jays hat right now.
A cricket umpire?
No, a real umpire.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, up for baseball.
Yeah, the one that just picks his balls and goes...
Bring it, Dan. Bring it. I got a good cold open. Dan, we're talking about clerics. Why do people Jesus?
Why do people Jesus?
Jesus.
And why do we need to kill others for it?
Oh, God, this just got real awkward.
Sorry, Dan.
Awkward. I was born in Northern Ireland in the 80s, okay? This type of tension makes me very nervous. I'm like, oh, God, they're talking about religion. There's going to be a freaking car bomb any second. Anyway,
So, clerics...
have we started the podcast
Yeah,
yet?
fuck it. Play the funky music, white boy.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and Terry.
Are we
That was
back?
a great...
Are we back in?
I am so happy with that. That was beautiful. Dan, don't cut any of that out. That was
I'm
gold.
cutting some...
No, come on. That was funny.
Are we back in?
I'll get all the hate. It's fine. It's good. So, yeah, we're back in. Absolutely.
Because I don't know what we've edited out of that, I don't know how we proceed. Do we act like that didn't happen? We'll carry on. It's okay.
I'm hurt. I'm deeply hurt. I'm glad we're talking clerics because, like,
You need some healing now?
well, it's not that I need my healing. It's that I have religious training, so like this is the kind of stuff I pour into.
And I think rightly so, Adam is the DM for the religious based.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially
Episode.
because if anybody remembers the Meet the DMs, we talked about classes and what's your least favorite, and I specifically said cleric.
Yep. Yep, this is your punishment.
Yeah, and also I said I don't like the healers, and I'll be covering the life domain as well
Yes.
a little bit
Yep,
later.
yep,
So
yep, more of your punishment.
this is why I'm mad at you guys. So let's actually.
It's not the only reason.
Well, it's primary right now. Let's get into the actual meat of what a cleric is. Cleric is the quintessential, the definitive divine caster. For all of the arcane casters that are out there, there are really only 3 divine casters. There are some others like the divine
Rangers and
soul.
Paladin and stuff like that as well. Like
Ranger doesn't have divine.
yeah, his spells are based off nature. He's divine. When a ranger gets spells, he gets divine spells. They're divine. They're the same as druid.
Are they really?
Yeah.
You can tell how much I give a shit about Rangers. The 5th ed Rangers have just let me
Man,
down. so much.
honestly, I just forget Rangers exist.
I know. Yeah. I will understand some of the subclasses, but the range itself is so flawed. We'll get into that.
When it comes to bows, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll just be a champion fighter that carries a bow.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, you're a fighter with a crossbow, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why? I don't know why anyone picks Ranger until you look at the revised Ranger. We'll deal with that in the Ranger episode.
Yeah.
So, but as for clerics, for the half casters that are Rangers and Paladins, even the Druid doesn't really get the sheer spellcasting ability that a cleric does.
Yep.
And they've got a entire functionality to that class where they can't cast spells, right? So clerics are your divine casters. They're the ones where it's built right in that they talk to God. But it says right in it, I'm going to read it directly. Not every acolyte or officiant at a temple or shrine is a cleric. True clerics are rare in most hierarchies. That's right out of the player's handbook. The idea that you can walk into any temple and go get healed up is a weird one to me. That happened a lot, especially in early D&D.
It's a very big D&D trope as well. Like, if there's a temple, it is being run by clerics.
Yeah.
As though they're just hanging around mopping the floor and stuff.
Yeah, I can see it being friars. I can see it even being... I don't know why monks aren't religious in, traditionally speaking. That's an odd one to me.
Yeah, they're very kind of neutral, I guess. Yeah.
But... So when
They're
we're
spiritual, not necessarily religious.
Oh, one of them. Oh, they're selling essential oils and healing crystals on
Yes,
Facebook.
yeah.
it's
Oh my god.
The Hare Krishnas.
yeah. I almost went there and I'm like, I got to stop calling people out. I've already angered the Jesus people. I can't anger anyone else, right?
Monks don't vaccinate their kids. Yeah.
Oh,
And now the pendulum has just swung the other direction.
I'll take it, guys. I told you I'll jump on the grenade anytime I feel like you guys are getting heat. I'm like, don't worry, I'll get him.
thanks, Uncle Terry. Uncle Terry's always jumping on things. So this episode's gotten thoroughly derailed already. We're barely getting started, but let's get into what a cleric is mechanically. All right, so I'm going to spew a little bit about this, but I've got some questions for you guys. I want to point out a couple of things that don't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Okay.
All right, when I'm breaking this down, I don't know why 5th Ed, why the creators built it in this way.
My question is why the picture of a cleric in the player's handbook has an axe on his ankle.
That's because he's just going to heal it up anyway.
Yeah, that's just
It's
like
the
he's going to
axe
kick
of
a
healing.
dude. He's going to kick a dude in the face and like.
That was one of my favorite cleric items that I had in a campaign. This is 8 years ago. It was the Warhammer of Healing, where you rolled a 1d12 to heal someone, find out how many hit points, and you roll a 1d8 to see how much damage you do. And
Did the damage come first? It must do, surely, because the Warhammer hits them and then...
No. It was like an aura around it, so you healed up and then lost some. It was the most bizarre thing ever, especially when you would roll the d8 and roll a 7, you roll a d12 and roll a 2.
Yeah.
So you just caused 5 points of damage. That was a load of fun. So
crit.
So first of all, with clerics, you're another one of these d8 hit point classes. That's the majority of them in 5th Ed. That seems a little low to me for a cleric.
You think a D10?
I would want it to be a D10. When I'm designing this guy's supposed to wade into battle, and I know that he's a D8 because he's a major spellcaster, and you can tell he is because he gets the same number of cantrips as a wizard. Bards and druids, they have other things going for them, so only get 4 cantrips. Clerics and wizards, magical, they get 5. So you can kind of stack up the divine versus the arcane from that perspective.
Well, they also get their heavy armor proficiency. They also
they don't.
Oh, sorry, they get their medium armor proficiency and they get shields.
Right.
Which no other spellcasting class really gets either of those.
Druids can get shields, they can't be metal.
Yeah, the druids,
but they don't get medium armor.
Druids do, I think.
I could tell you here in a sec. Actually, why don't you flip to it, Dan?
Let's pause.
It's 2 pages.
But what about the Warlock?
Warlock doesn't get medium armor base.
No?
It's right there.
They get medium armor.
Yeah, druids get medium. Here's the thing
Come
about
see
it,
your
though.
Dad every time.
Here's the thing about it. Your
Uncle. You're the uncle.
yeah, Uncle
Uncle
Terry.
Terry.
I'm the youngest one.
That's why it's funny.
the thing about the light armor, the medium armor, and the shield proficiency, which at face value looks pretty good. These guys they still have to be front row, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing ranged built into them, and as much as you can throw axes or shoot a crossbow, and I've seen them that do. If you're shooting a crossbow, you're not using a shield.
Yeah.
Right? You're still trading off, and you still have to get into battle to be able to heal people.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
It's your range thing, really, from my experience playing a cleric, is you're relying on guiding bolt.
Yeah.
You know? So you're relying on magic for range anyway.
And your weapon proficiencies, they're all simple weapons. That makes perfect sense to me. That includes all the ranged ones, so you have simple ones. But you don't get any martial, which is odd because that pulls some things like a war pick out. And that feels to me like that should be a cleric weapon.
Yeah.
If we can get a war hammer, we should be able to get a war pick. You know what I mean? Now that I've said that, I got to double check and make sure that war pick is not one of the simple ones.
It's not.
Well, it feels like you should. Yeah, if you get Warhammer, War Pick seems to make sense. It's
well, if you have Warhammer, right, which is no, I'm sorry, you don't even get Warhammer. You get Light Hammer. That is what you get.
Mace.
That feels really wrong to me for a cleric. I'm going Warhammer because I'm thinking of 3.5. That's everything that I've ever seen.
You think like fifth edition clerics are far more. They lean more caster than battle.
Yeah.
Right? And 3.5 and everything else, they had their heavy armor. They all had that martial proficiency. There was a militaristic bend to every single cleric that was out there. Didn't matter what your domains were.
That's true.
You built into it. Whereas in 5th edition, the way that they build these classes, you have the war domain, which gives you martial weapons and heavy armor and these other things, right? Like, you have to build into it with the domain that you pick, and
you can see that based on their saves, right? In my head, you should have a Constitution save for a cleric, but the fact that it's Wisdom and Charisma seems. I mean,
why is it Charisma?
I guess so that you can see the true soul of people. Like I'm trying to find the flavor on it.
Yeah, it's
right. Like you have. I'm looking more at the insight, and the persuasion.
Yep.
Right. So you'd want a high charisma in there if you're going to be a priest in front of a group of people.
Yeah, like if you're being kind of priestly, I guess you're supposed to be seen as a person to be trusted. among the people.
But then you get the skills, and it's like, okay, so you have your insight and your persuasion are there, and the only other 3 you get, history, medicine, and religion. You have 5 skills to choose from. That feels really light. That's one of the lowest, right? You have got to start leaning into your backgrounds and start picking your background appropriately for this.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, and based on your domain, a lot like domains in 5th mean a whole lot more than domains have ever meant. Like, they are going to add so much more flavor, and this even boils down to proficiencies, right? Like, depending on what your domain is, you will get additional skill proficiencies, even expertise off some of them.
It makes a lot of difference mechanically.
Yeah.
It's not just flavor,
right? Your domain is so central to what your cleric is. Whereas in previous editions, you were a cleric of these 2 domains.
yeah.
Right? Whereas you are a cleric of war, or you're a cleric of knowledge.
I feel like the oath for the paladin is very similar.
Yep.
They always had the idea of like an anti-paladin, but now you have Oath of Vengeance or Oath of Conquest, or like, there are just so many more options.
Yeah.
Speaking of paladins really quickly, you know what they pulled law in 5th ed? You don't have to be lawful anymore to be a paladin. I have a cleric in my Tuesday group. She's a death domain cleric, and she's a tiefling. And I keep calling her a warlock because flavor-wise, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But she's also lawful evil. I've never seen a lawful evil cleric, and she's a lot of time trying to reconcile why she would heal her party members. Mm-hmm. Especially because she's death domain. If you die, that helps her god. Mm-hmm. Why does she want everyone to die except these 3 people? Right? And so she's a new player, so she's really struggled with that for the first few. She's figured it out now, safety in numbers, and you make it work, right? For adventuring.
What do you need right now over what you want overall? Yeah.
Yeah, and their motivations line up.
Yeah.
But I have trouble picturing a chaotic cleric.
I've played one.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
It was 3-5, but it was like you play the trickster god cleric. So like you're playing that character who, based off of the will of his god, because you got to consider like these guys are fueled by some sort of deific power. With my church group that plays, I've kind of removed that requirement a bit, because once you get into church groups, like, you have to worship this god to get your powers. Like, that whole train of thought.
It's a false idol, right?
Yeah, you lead down different ways, and I don't want to cause anyone to stumble. So, anyways, the clerics, as they're written, receive a lot of power from some sort of deific thing. So, if you take like a trickster god who wants you to steal things and break the law and ruin order and cause disorder, that's how you play a chaotic cleric. Like, you're still devoted to your god, but you view them as more like a vending machine to like grab this power from, so you could go cause havoc. I'm reminded of John Ralphio's sister from Parks and Rec. She is a chaotic cleric, and just sticking her hand out to her, deific dad, money please. Like, that's...
See, that feels warlock to me, but okay.
Well, both, right? The warlock is not so much. It's cleric is god to person, warlock is person to god, right? Like, there's a bit of that weird tension of relationship between warlocks and clerics.
I would say, what about like Stephen of Braveheart, Irish Stephen?
Yeah. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, it's mine. Yeah, you could that type of character you could use a chaotic
cleric. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's all like mental stability.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
He's heavily devoted, but he's
devoted, but his methods are questionable.
Yeah, I guess my problem is that I can't get past life domain. Yeah, and I'll talk about that later. Like, I understand that a lot of people play war domain clerics. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Why not play a paladin?
Well,
we'll jump into that later.
I did war domain cleric, but again, that's coming from a lot of years of experience. Sometimes, like for me, the reason I did it was just to try it. Yeah. I'd never done it before,
So when you get into things like trickery domain, like, how does that work? Are you a bard now? Like, are you a divine bard? Is this what we're doing with the trickery domain?
There's a lot of weird crossovers. I know we're doing druids. We're doing druids after clerics, and again, you start to see like how classes blend in.
Yeah, especially with the nature domain. There are a couple of them that kind of bleed together. Anyway, let's get back to the general overview of them. You have wisdom as your spellcasting modifier, right? You gain your expended spell slots back after a long rest. You know as many spells as your wisdom modifier plus your cleric level. All right, so that's
different.
That's quite a few spells that you know. But your spell slots are based on your wisdom modifier.
Okay.
So you can you're a ritual caster, which is super important. They're one of the only ones. I think them and druids make a whole lot of sense for ritual casting. Mm-hmm. I don't see sorcerers being like casting rituals very often. I'm not sure if they even are ritual casters, but like it really makes sense for a cleric to be able to say, "Hold on a sec, let me light a candle and pray.
Yeah,
give me 10 minutes." Right. One of my favorite things about it is they get a spellcasting focus, and I want to just talk about this for a minute because it's a little bit bizarre. They have this holy symbol. A holy symbol is a representation of a god or pantheon, so it doesn't just have to be your god.
Yeah.
Right? It can be an amulet depicting a symbol representing a deity, the same symbol carefully engraved or inlaid as an emblem on a shield, or a tiny box holding a fragment of a sacred relic. So already, traditionally it's just emblazoned upon a shield or on a breastplate. Yeah. And Dan, you just look up sorcerers?
Yeah, they're not.
They're not ritual casters?
No,
yeah, okay, cool.
They have ritual spells, but I guess...
a cleric or paladin can use a holy symbol as a spellcasting focus. And to use a symbol this way, the caster must hold it in hand, wear it visibly, or bear it on a shield. My favorite spellcasting focus ever was on a cleric that I played, where it was the runes carved into his teeth.
Into his teeth, yeah.
So he smiled and cast spells out of his teeth, which was a lot of fun.
That is metal as hell. I love it.
Yeah, it's also, it made me very scared that the DM would be like, you got punched in the face, you rolled on a crit table and you lost some teeth. You can't cast spells now. Or now you just have like a necklace of your own teeth. Right? Or the druid picks it up and now it's his druidic totem.
Love it.
So, a character can use a component pouch or a spellcasting focus in place of the components specified for a spell, which means you don't have to worry about spell components at all as a cleric. But if a cost is indicated for a component, you have to use that specific component before you can cast the spell.
So like a diamond worth 1,000 gold pieces, where you have to have that diamond.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yeah, but you don't.
But like a thing of back 1-0, if you're casting a fireball as a light cleric, you don't have to worry about it. You just be like, hey, look my shiny thing.
Yep. If a spell states that a material component is consumed, you must provide the component for each casting of the spell. The word there is for each casting. So if you want to cast it 10 times, you need 10 different versions of this. So you still need to have the components. You just aren't literally consuming them in that moment. Right? And again, you have to have a hand free to access this. Here's my problem with clerics. You get shields. You're carrying your melee weapon.
Carrying your hammer, yeah.
What bare hand do you have for this? Like, what free hand do you have? Keeping in mind that stowing a weapon is your interaction in 5th ed, and you can't draw it again afterwards, right, on that turn.
Yeah, is this something that kind of gets hand-waved often?
Yeah.
I don't think it's something I would argue. I'm like, all right, you're the cleric, you're casting your spells. You got your shield and your hammer. It's okay, I'll let you off. You know, you're already being restricted by the fact that now your hammer's one-handed, so it does less damage.
Well, I've seen this solved by things like the weapon itself being the holy symbol as well.
Yeah, that's why it's on the shield.
It's either it's on the shield or, they're raising their mace up high and it's glowing. The spells are coming from it because it's emblazoned with symbols of your god. Like, I've seen
your
that.
Mjolnir.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah. The old 3/5 iconic cleric was a guy by the name of Jozan, and a lot of his pictures were just like
him
holding his mace up and it glowing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing...
Lots of him dying as well.
The other thing about clerics was the... and specifically how to get around this two-handed... I need 3 hands, I only have 2. Yep. Is I introduced homebrew, the idea of a buckler.
Yeah.
So it keeps your second hand free. it only adds 1 to your AC instead of the 2 that a shield does, but it's permanently strapped to your arm until you pull it off for a short rest. And it has to be buckled on. It's part of your armor going on, right? So it's technically on a shield slot. It's a huge, bracer, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? So, but the fact that I have to homebrew that, or the fact that it's forcing me to put it on a shield, feels strange to me.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a weird part of 5th Ed. You get a Divine Domain. There are 12 domains for 5th Ed. That is more than even the Wizard has. And the Wizard comes with like a stock 8, right, in the player's handbook. There are 12 domains for Clerics. It's nuts. They've spilled out into Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. There is a domain in the Dungeon Master's Guide. They are all over the place. And so if we're doing 3 subclasses an episode, that's like 4 Cleric episodes we've got in front of us, guys. There is so much to talk about.
The people will be thrilled.
Yeah.
The people sitting there on their knowledge cleric going, "Oh, when will it be my turn?"
We're back to talk about religion. Sit down.
Adam's going to make more bad jokes.
Buckle up.
So you get your Channel Divinity as well. You get a bunch of domain spells, special ones that are specifically for your domain that you've chosen. Your Channel Divinity is... this is another weird one. I don't know why Lay on Hands is for Paladins when Clerics are the healers, and Channel Divinity, like the holy power of turn undead and make undead flee from you, isn't Paladin. That feels backwards to me.
That does feel backwards, and I've never thought about it until right now. Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that's a holdover from previous editions, right? Yeah. So the Cleric is really an archaic kind of class.
Channel Divinity is relatively new, but the idea of turning undead or rebuking undead are quintessential, and the problem is they've named them very similar, like Lay on Hands and all that other stuff. Like they bleed together very, very well, and they're completely holdovers.
Yeah, I feel like it's for the traditionalist. If you were to release 6th edition, for example, and you have those backwards, people will be up in arms about it.
Maybe the only argument I could think for the whole turn on undead thing would be the Cleric would be the closest person to their god. You know, it's the Paladin is kind of I guess through sort of choice, through like swearing an oath, but the Cleric is like, I don't know, blessed with this power.
Yeah. Why do Clerics not have to swear an oath as well? Like, it seems weird that they're granted more godly power than a Paladin is.
Because they may not want it. The Paladin swears their oath voluntarily. The Cleric can just be given that power.
That's a really cool point. Well, I'd like to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. The reason I said that is because we're going to talk about our own ideas later.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Hey, shit. We've doubled up, Terry.
That's okay. We can do this.
So one of the Channel Divinity options built right in is Turn Undead, which essentially means that they run like little bitches from you. You get your ability score improvements at the regular martial rate. Your Destroy Undead has some funky levels. You need to be familiar with this table if you're going to be a cleric. I'd almost write it out and put it on the back of your character sheet.
Yeah.
Just because at different levels, you can just outright destroy undead instead of turning them. You get Divine Intervention. Terry, tell me about Divine Intervention. This was your favorite thing to fail.
It never worked.
Yeah.
It never worked. Divine Intervention doesn't care about stats. Divine Intervention is once per day you can request Divine Intervention. You can request a favor from your god. It's very loose. It's left to the DM. But essentially you can pray and say, help me do this thing. My friend is dying. I can't heal them. I'm too far away. Bring them back, or tell me this secret, or whatever. And then you have a certain percentage. I believe it's you roll percentile dice, and you have to score less than your cleric level.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, you get that Divine Intervention to whatever level your DM decides. And then if you succeed, you can then not ask for it again for another 7 days. But if you fail, you can try again the next day.
At level 20, you succeed automatically.
So at level 20, you can literally just ask your god to do whatever you need. Why are you even fighting the big bad guy at the end?
Well, I would assume as well that you still have to wait.
You still wait the 7 days for another
right?
one,
yeah. So in a regular year, you're only getting 52 of these.
I want to know why there's not
wishes.
a scale that makes this a lot more possible.
Well, because this is an archaic holdover, the same way that Wish is, right? Wish is ridiculously powerful, always has been. But we used to have Minor Wish and Greater Wish and other versions.
Yeah.
And in this version of D&D in 5th ed, it's just Wish. And Wish can do whatever you want it to do, right? I feel like Divine Intervention is the same thing. But it gives the DM an out to say, and the god steps forward and says, fuck no. Right? So it's kind of your only way out of dealing with this. But you got to deal with it a lot more often. And if you are the DM that has that one player that has dice that don't hate him.
What's that?
Yeah.
Like?
Yeah.
Also, not enough NPCs requesting divine intervention for my liking.
Oh my
if you
God.
come across some higher power, higher
Every
level cleric
cultist,
enemies.
every cultist should be rolling when you're about to get the killing blow. They just roll percentile dice. They're all level 1 or 2, but if you roll a 98 or 99 or 100, then all of a sudden their
Well,
god
you don't get
steps
the
forward and
ability
slaps
until
you.
10th level, right?
Yeah.
But if you can come across, say, a trio of high-powered clerics as like bad guys,
Yeah, like if you are a level 15 or 14 party and you come across like a higher echelon of cultists, there's no reason why they can't be doing that.
well, they should. DMs out there, pull that one on your players. They'll love it.
Yeah.
They won't.
They won't love it. But they won't expect it, and that's what makes the game interesting.
Deus Ex Machina does not work when it's from the DM to the players.
So here's the other thing that's really vague and strange about 5th ed is the idea of the gods. They're really not laid out clearly at all.
No.
They have been in previous editions, and there's a breakdown in Sword Coast Adventures Guide, and there's a little bit of conversation and tables at the ends of some books, but there's not a whole lot about the gods or how they work. And they'll give you the one domain that they're in, like a part of, but then as they release more domains and Xanathars, they have to release more gods.
Yeah. And it's kind of like Game of Thrones in that it kind of suggests that they're all there.
Yeah.
They're all there.
Yeah, it could be the Greek gods or the Roman gods.
They're all
or,
hanging about.
Yeah, or the Pathfinder gods. It's whatever you want it to be, right?
Yeah, but the way they've built the domains in this, whereas 3.5 had, each god had its portfolio of like 7 or 8 different domains that you could pick if you worship that god. What they've done here is they've made it more of a statement where they'll say like gods of light. So it doesn't matter what kind of deity you are, it doesn't matter what the specific deity is. If he can be arguably, or she can be arguably a god of light, they can have the light domain, right? They do the same thing with life. Like any non-evil deity can have influence over this domain, right? Like they've made it more of a general thing that applies over top. Like they're more.
This is also them,
statements.
like stepping back from the alignment chart being so hard as possible. However, it's still a factor, right? You still have to be one step off with your god, right? So if you are chaotic good, you have to either be chaotic or good. Your god has to be chaotic or good. You can't pick a true neutral god because it has to be one of your two sides, right?
Yeah.
You could be chaotic good. You could still have a chaotic evil god, which is crazy to me. But why not, right? Like, the cleric is very poorly defined, generally speaking. When you get into the domains, Dan, you're 100% right on that. It starts to kind of make itself clear. But I really feel like you have a lot of homework to do when you're doing the cleric.
Yeah, it's kind of like you got to read them all to decide which one you want to do, which
all
is fine.
Freaking 12 of them.
Which is fine. Some people will like to do that. Not Terry. I like to choose my wine and my clerics based off the title.
Roll a d12 and see what happens.
I'm like, nature, probably not, even though I'm talking about that later. I'm like, war domain, that sounds a lot more interesting than knowledge, because I'm not going to read them in their entirety. But that's just how I live my life.
Okay, so we didn't roll dice, and I'm kind of at the end of this whole big spiel. Before we go to commercial, I want to roll dice for a real quick question. Pick a race that you think would go well with cleric, or which is so opposite of what a cleric should be.
Samoan.
Like, wrong. just wrong.
Just wrong.
Just wrong. I'm not. All right, so
2.
hey, we tied.
Oh! The people at home have no idea what's
9.
happening. That
All right.
means I'm going second.
I have had the worst dice luck now for 2 in a row.
Yep.
All right.
Feel the pain. And I'm going to take this from you.
You going first?
Yeah, Dan,
I'm
Dan's
going first.
Splendid.
For a race that is the quintessential cleric, like you can't get more iconic than a dwarf. You
Yeah.
really can't. Their entire... He's in the book. They've always been in the book. There's been old D&D video games where they're like, you get to play Dungeons and Dragons as a characters, and the iconic is like an elf wizard and a halfling rogue and a dwarven cleric.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but your cleric could only be a dwarf in first edition.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you couldn't be a different race.
You had that human fighter, dwarf cleric.
Yeah.
Elven wizard, and those were the three.
It has to do with the fact that dwarves are far more wise just by nature. They're more in tune with the spiritual side. They have that longer vision that kind of shares with the gods. So they.
I also feel like you're right. I also feel like when you come to the things like the skills that are wisdom based, that all of them scream dwarf to me.
Yeah,
right?
Like the guy who's rooting out lies and dishonesty and lack of truth,
or trying to lie, or trying to intimidate, or trying to persuade.
Yeah.
They're far more social than say elves.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. As for one that is completely as far away from this as I can think, I would go gnome. Like for me, a gnome cleric seems weird to me because they're very innovative. They're very analytical. They're very.
They're like the opposite of spiritual. They're like engineers.
They're very opposite of that spiritual side. Yeah, they're engineers. They're tinkerers. They're intellectuals. They're all of these things. Like I don't see them following the.
Could you picture the gnome talking to the god, and the god is like, "And this is the power I bestow you," and he'd just be like, "Why? Why would you get that from? No, stop and tell
Don't!
me where they come from."
God, your gnomes are the most annoying gnomes ever. More annoying than Dan's gnomes.
Hey,
my gnome is fantastic, and you know
annoying.
it.
So
He's okay. I think it's like, you know, your gnome is like people that live with back pain. You just get used to it after a while.
Ouch.
all
I've
right,
only been playing this guy for a year, Terry.
No, I love him. I love him. Bless him.
you're up next, Terry. What do you got?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Question is, for races, what races either make or break the cleric class?
Yeah, I feel like for making clerics, I mean, I like the idea of human cleric. I'm so boring. I like the idea of human cleric because I feel that for newer players, and I like to be the voice of the newer players, it's a lot easier to find yourself in your character because it's so general. I don't really think that there needs to be a race that breaks cleric. I thought about playing a tiefling cleric one time, for example, and I'm only saying that because of the idea that I'm going to talk about later of having power bestowed on you that you didn't necessarily want or look for. So I actually love the idea of a gnome cleric. What would be more hilarious than a gnome tinkerer that's been blessed with this divine power?
Yeah, he's like a forged domain.
That 10 minutes ago he probably didn't even believe in. Yeah, exactly. And now he's running through his village telling everyone that he's the son of God.
I love the idea of like this clockwork fire starter has been brought to you by Jesus. Right?
Well, okay, so I'm gonna get Bible nerd for a second. This is really kind of what happens with Noah in the books.
Rackham's gonna be mad if you get Bible nerd.
No, go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah. Noah is sitting there. Everyone else in the world is depraved and
Good name for a gnome though.
Noah the gnome or
Yeah.
Noma. Anyways, God goes to him and says, "Hey, build an ark." God goes to him and says, it's got to be this big, and gives him the plans. God goes to him and says, "I'll bring the animals." God goes to him and says all these things. Noah just has to do what his God is telling him to do. Right? He's very much a cleric in this sense. And they say he's a holy man. They say he's all that other stuff, and then he gets discovered by his kids naked in a cave once. Like the end of the story of Noah is kind of weird and disconcerting.
Yeah.
But they say the Bible says they see his feet, and we've talked about this in I think it was the Meet the DM episodes,
Yeah,
where
feet
feet equals genitals. So like they say his kids saw his feet. Yeah,
That's 'cause they're
no,
a foot
he
long.
was drunk
Yeah.
and naked inside of a cave.
But
But
and that's all we need to know about Noah.
That was the end of his arc.
Oh, very clever.
All right. So, what's your okay, I guess there's no least favorite race?
No
or-
least favorite race because I believe that you can make it work as long as you try and break the mold a little bit.
I do have one, if I could bring it up. The one that upsets me when I see a cleric has it, and I'm sorry for this.
What?
Asmere. It's 2 on the nose.
Too on the nose?
Too on the nose for an
Do
Eastmere
you want
cleric.
more than a dwarf cleric?
Oh yeah, no. Dwarf clerics, like dwarves, still have their whole familial, like
Don't you think it
traditional
makes
sense.
perfect sense for somebody who has celestial blood to probably
And that's my
believe in a
problem.
god?
That's
Listen,
my
Mr.
problem with
Half-Orc Barbarian, you can just
Half-Orc
shut your
Barbarian.
cake.
No, that's my problem with it. It's just too on the nose with it.
All right, okay. So then let me give my answer. Are you all right with an Eric Cocker then? I absolutely love the idea of the holy birds that are like the sun gods, right? That are flying down to like hand out justice. They're all paladins and clerics in my head.
Yeah.
Right? That one makes a lot of sense to me. Conversely speaking,
Bald eagle, Aarakocra,
yeah,
clerics.
yeah, absolutely. Like I
Or
could
you
just
go Egyptian with it,
Take
and they're
some
all
freedom.
raw.
that they're all wearing red caps. Make the skies great again. So, no, we can't get political. All right, never mind. Everybody, please write down and tell them what your opinions are on the
They're
American
from the
political
only
system.
D&D country that thinks they're fucking free. Canada's like, we're good.
Yup, at Neverwinter. All right. So my least favorite, the one that makes absolutely zero sense to me, is the lizard folk. They're just robotic alien
I
lizard
guess.
brain. Like I don't, as much as they would be like, I do this for the cleric or my god.
Yeah.
Like there's the charisma is just gone. They're all just barbarian fighter martial to me.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be holy at all, a paladin, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe even druid, depending on how you're building it. But
And
I'm
I
not-
feel like it would even be paladin based on what they believe was a god, which is probably just the last dragonborn that walked by or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we cut to commercial?
Let's do it.
All right, and then we'll jump into the specific domains.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
This episode is brought to you by WildBot3D.com. Condition markers, spell trackers, AoE templates, scatter terrain, and much more. Proudly made in Georgia and personally packaged and shipped worldwide. That's WildBot3D, your home for quality 3D printed tabletop gaming accessories and terrain. Visit WildBot3D.com to purchase your new favorite accessories today. Wildbot3D.com. Wildbot.
All right, the domains. So we've each picked a domain
Yes.
off of the list. We're going to keep it a secret from the people at home. Let's roll dice.
I revealed mine already.
Terry. What the holy...
Oh!
I rolled a nat 1. Terry hit my dice. And
it
then
stayed
it
a nat
stayed a nat 1.
That means that you rolled 2 nat 1s for the stats.
You also botched last week, if I recall.
Yeah, you did. You've lost all of your juju.
Apparently I have to be employed in order to roll fucking dice.
Am I allowed to say juju on an episode about clerics?
Yes, you're allowed to
Yes,
say Juju,
okay.
but
All right.
why am I the arbiter of this?
What? I don't know.
I tried to sit you guys down and be like, hey, can we keep the swearing to a minimum? That's gone out the fucking window.
I don't know why I looked at you with a question about it. Dan, is this cool if I say this about...
Oh, yeah. Well, you're a resident holy man, right?
in a sense, sure.
I also just assume that Dan knows everything about all religions as well. We could
Yeah.
be having a conversation now, be like, Anubis was the
Egyptian god of death.
Jackal.
Well, yeah, no. I was like the time I was talking to Dan about the. Is Anubis a knoll
He was a jackal.
Well, he's a jackal, so yeah.
or like hyena knoll?
I think he's what is
and
it?
Vishnu's a
Well,
loxodon.
there's jackal folk, right? Isn't there?
Are there? I created jackal folk based on minis that I pulled out of a Pathfinder.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you're pulling.
God damn
from
it, Pathfinder.
Right? What the fuck? Is
Hey,
wrong
Dan,
with
you haven't coughed today. Speaking of God damn it.
I've been trying to hold it back.
Have you
All right,
really?
very good so far.
Very good.
But we have many miles to go.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Terry, you're up first. What do you
Many
got as
miles
far as
before I
domains go?
I am covering the nature domain.
Oh, trees and rocks and sticks and things.
Yeah.
No, we're doing Druids next week.
Yeah, I know. Where I will talk about the exact same thing. But yes, we were talking about crossovers before. The nature domain for a cleric is, and the people at home will scream at me, very similar to how I kind of see a druid. You're like
It's
a
okay.
holy
It's okay.
druid
All of the
type.
ones that love this are going to be outside without any sort of electricity, hugging trees.
That's fine. But you're manipulating nature in the name of your god, essentially. So there's lots of environmental manipulating spells, which is what I like to do when we play D&D. I'm always trying to fuck with the environment to mess with Adam's plans, but it never works. So I think you could be very creative with the nature domain because it's not as obvious as say like the war domain, which is like you're good at hitting stuff and you can heal people, or the life domain, which is, dude, your job is to bring people back from the dead or stop them from dying in the first place. Because you're manipulating the environment, I kind of see it as you're almost like a higher level arcane trickster, is how I would kind of look at it, and people may argue with that, but that's how I would play it.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah. But yes, nature domain, you're manipulating the environment or nature in the name of your god, and essentially that's what you have. Your channel divinity is that you can charm beasts and charm animals and plants. So again,
Which is bizarre to me that like when you're charming animals, that's ranger, right?
yeah,
There's a lot of bleed over from the cleric
Bleed
domains
over
into
here.
other stuff.
it's all about really what you want to keep. Like I find that I always said that I chose my characters based off backstory and ideas, and kind of went for the classes later. But I find now that I'm actually diving more into the mechanics. Like, what do I want to be able to do?
Yep.
Do I want to be a ranger? Probably not. Never. No, I'd rather be a nature cleric. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything? What else do nature clerics have? What do they do that's so special?
Well, they're basically they have all the same stuff that a regular cleric would do. They are proficient in heavy armor, which is huge.
Yeah.
That struck me
That
as
seems
weird.
weird. That seems weird. And I would probably build it like I would request to the DM, be like, hey, can I have heavy armor made out of like thick ancient trees or something?
Like petrified wood. I've introduced a thing called ironwood for exactly that reason.
Yeah. So, but the main differences are they have an extra proficiency in the heavy armor. Their channel divinity is slightly different, and they have access to different spells, obviously, but they're more nature based. Their divine strike, you don't just do radiant damage. You can do fire, cold, and lightning damage. So now, if you're going up against, well, let's say a dragon, for example, or whatever, or something with some sort of vulnerability there, you can choose which element type you'll hit them with. And
That's super useful. Being able to choose your element type is huge. And that's 6th level?
No, that was 8th level. The 6th level one is that you can imbue a resistance to an element type on someone within 30 feet.
Again, that's huge.
Yeah, because exactly what I was saying before. I was leading to my point of if you're say if you're fighting a dragon or something, for example, with a breath weapon, and you have a party member gets hit with fire damage, on your reaction, you can give them resistance to that. So if you'll know mechanically if they've failed their save, and then you can just put that resistance on anyway. Or you have one party member passes, if one that fails, you can give it to them.
Yeah, and the elemental ones are the ones that you see more than anything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Your fire, cold, lightning, right?
Or thunder.
Or thunder.
Yeah, with the dampen
Yeah, it
elements.
was fire, cold, lightning. I know I said thunder accidentally earlier. but
Well,
it was
you
lightning
get
damage.
thunder for the dampen elements, but when it comes to divine strike, you get fire, cold, or lightning.
Or lightning, the big three.
I think you still get to keep the radiant damage though, like as an option.
Uh,
Because I think that clerics get that anyway.
possibly.
Yeah.
Radiant damage? I don't think so.
I don't
Maybe
think
not.
so. No.
Okay.
No, that's your divine smites, right, for the
Yep.
paladins. So,
Which I mean, you get the spell divine, like you get the divine smite spells, like the smite. What is it? Branding smites, warding smite. Those smites. You get those spells as a cleric. So
do you?
yeah.
Okay. What else do we get with the nature domain?
There's one more, and I forget. It's a higher level one.
Master of Nature.
Master of Nature, 17th level. You gain the ability to command animals and plant creatures. While creatures are charmed by your charm animals and plants feature, you can take a bonus action on your turn to verbally command what each of those creatures will do on its next turn. Huge.
Yeah, that's what level? 17th?
That's 17th, but I think
You're
you
not
have to
doing
be
a whole-
creative with it because the animals and plants that you're going to get are not going to be like what you're going to be fighting at 17th level. You're not going to be able to cause that much damage, so I think you need to be clever with it. Like you would use them to manipulate the environment, move stuff, push things
During a
whatever.
social encounter where you summon a swarm to blot out the sun
Yeah.
for your god's omens.
That's
like
what I mean.
shit like
I think,
that, right?
I think you just this is a domain for more experienced players, I think, or very creative players. Because if you're brand new to the game, I think you're going to get disheartened if you can't figure out what to do.
And I mean, it's called
With
Nature
these
Domain.
abilities.
I'm assuming you're not doing this in your urban campaign.
No.
Yeah,
But I mean, could this be useful for the Underdark?
Oh, for
I
sure.
think so. You know what? Even for the urban campaign, if you're controlling plants and animals, there's still rats and mice and things that are around that, you can use for like more spy type stuff. Yeah.
Bring a dire tiger around with you everywhere.
Yeah.
Because why not? You're 17th level nature cleric. You should
what's-
have a pet dire
What's the
tiger.
ridiculously massive tiger on Aladdin called? Raja?
Raja, yeah.
Raja? Yeah. Excellent name for a tiger.
And I don't think it's ridiculously large. It is just that tigers are freaking huge.
And
man.
Jasmine's like 90 pounds or something. So
Yeah.
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 Soaking wet. Yeah.
Is she 14?
Oh,
Disney
I
princesses
have
are
a
14,
friend. I have a
right?
friend who owns a company, a princess company, where they dress up as princesses and go to kids' parties and stuff. And she once told me how old they all were. I'm pretty sure she's 15.
Yeah, they're all young, right? Like
I think
Ariel's.
Aurora is the oldest one. She's 16. Well, she was when I asked her this 5 years ago.
It's so creepy. It's
So
so.
that's what all those old stories were. Yes, it's creepy, but that's what all the old stories were like.
Yeah, but if we're gonna be that creepy,
Like
why-
Snow White, I think, was 12,
Yeah.
13. Like, she's super young.
Medieval, though, remember?
Yep.
yeah,
medieval time.
But I mean, that's a whole other thing for D&D. How medieval do you get in your campaign?
Not that medieval. The answer is not 18 and up.
Hey, we'll do genocide and killing people all day long.
You're Terry 16 and up. More
Yes. All right,
Check the law in England. You check the law.
Dan.
So Terry got nature. I got the light domain. The light domain is it's the fire domain. It is the one that is gods who are like the heralds of the sun are and want to shine the light on the injustices of the world. Like Aarakocra, but like gods like Helm, Lathander, Poultice, Branchala, the Silver Flame, Apollo, like very much embody this kind of.
Let me
domain.
ask you: are we doing moonlight as well, or is it sunlight
It's
and light?
strictly sunlight.
Okay, is
Yeah.
it radiance or flame?
It's flame. It is open flame. Like
All right.
you look at the domain spells they get, and they'll give you an idea. For first level, you get Burning Hands and Fairy Fire. I'm fairly certain they chose Fairy Fire just because it has the words fire in the title. Because Fairy
really
Fire
good
is just
spell.
like outlines of glitter and purple.
Yeah, but I
flame,
love that.
but-
That just underlines every invisible creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third level, you get Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray.
Nice.
Fifth level, you get Daylight and Fireball. Seventh level, you get Guardian of Faith and Wall of Fire. And ninth level, you get Flame Strike and Scrying.
Interesting. Well, light.
It's
illuminating.
become a-
It is. It's all about being enlightened.
Yeah,
and like illuminating mystery and stuff. So it makes sense when you read it. It just feels kind of out of place with like you get all this fire stuff and also can see the dude 400 miles away.
What's interesting is that a lot of that fire stuff is not in the divine spellcasting list.
No.
right?
This
This is how you get your cleric that can cast a fireball.
Yeah, and that's insanity. Throw this cleric with like an elemental adept feat for fire. Like I don't care if you're shooting a fireball at a flame, like a fire elemental, you're going to do damage to it, right? Like it's just fantastic. They're one of my favorite forms of cleric to play as well, and they're all about like eradicating shadow, right, and just banishing all of that stuff. They get light as a first level cantrip. Just that's when you are first level and you get this, you get light. That is just something you get. You have a way to illuminate.
Cool.
You get what is called a warding flare as your first level ability, which is as your reaction, you can like throw sparks in front of an attacker's eyes, which will cause them to have disadvantage on the attack roll.
So essentially blinded.
Yes, but creatures that are immune to being blinded can't be hit by this.
Yeah.
So, and you get that the amount of times as your wisdom modifier a day.
Which should be pretty high, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, you get it back on a long rest, not a short, but like
Sure.
it's fairly fantastic. As a channel divinity at second level, you get the ability, and I love how they say this, to harness sunlight, banishing darkness, and dealing radiant damage to your foes.
So you do get radiance with it.
You do get a little bit, yeah. What you do is you present your holy symbol, and any magical darkness within 30 feet of you is dispelled.
Oh.
for Channel Divinity
Whoa.
at second level.
That's nutty. Okay, so hold on.
Second level?
At second level.
This is unstoppable object versus immovable object, right? Like, what happens when you have what is it? Tieflings. There's a certain kind of tiefling that's just like, boom, magical darkness. No one can see, and it cannot be dispelled. Only
Isn't
you
that
can.
Durgar?
Is it Durgar?
I think it's
I thought it was
Durgar.
tiefling. Okay, so will this
Maybe
work?
some form of drow.
I bet there's a conflict somewhere.
Yep. Additionally, each hostile creature within 30 feet of you must make a Constitution saving throw. A creature takes radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric level on a failed saving throw, and half as much on a successful one.
Wow. Yeah, that's... What level is this?
Second. This is your Channel Divinity at second level.
That seems hugely overpowered.
Yeah.
2d10 plus cleric level as a Channel Divinity. Like, how many Channel Divinities you get? You get, like, your Wisdom modifier a day?
It does eventually go to 3, I think, or 4. But
Yeah, it's not that high.
around
It's
here.
low.
Yeah, you don't get that much. You eventually get 3 a rest, right? You get this back on a short rest, but like that is game breaking in some respects.
Low levels. Yeah, up to about level 7. I would say that's.
Yeah, you have your one
second level, you barely walked out of your farmer's field, and you're like, no more magical darkness.
You can still smell your backstory on you.
I would love to see this guy.
Your parents
paired.
are still alive.
I would love to see this guy paired with a warlock.
What?
I'm
we
just
can't make that joke.
steamrolling through
You
this.
just rolled through that?
Yeah.
They heard it.
I would love to see this guy paired with that warlock build that uses the devil sight that lets you see through magical darkness.
That's an invocation, I think.
It's an invocation, but you have that entire build is the warlock casts darkness and then wades in, and then the one cleric goes, "Fuck you,"
and undoes it.
and undoes it. Like,
well, I think the clerics or warlocks are natural enemies in the first place.
yeah,
so that makes sense
very
to
much,
me.
yeah. Mm-hmm. At 6th level for this, I'm just going to move on past the Channel Divinity. Your warding flare becomes something you could use on you use your reaction for another creature. So at first level, it's versus you. So if someone's attacking you, you can impose this. You can impose a disadvantage. At 6th level, you can do it for any creature within 30 feet of you as a reaction.
Any creature, any ally.
Any creature.
Cool.
Yeah. When a creature you see within you attacks...
Within you.
Oh, sorry. Within 30 feet of you attacks a creature other than you.
Okay.
So, if Joe Blow A is attacking Joe Blow B and your entire party's sitting back, you can still interrupt it. Like, say you're at a bar fight that's breaking out, right? You can still interrupt it. You get potent spellcasting, which a lot of the domains get. It gives you the ability to add your wisdom modifier to all of your damaging cleric cantrips. It is just your cantrips, though, so players, DMs, be aware. And then at 17th level, the capstone abilities, you get this thing called Corona of Light, where you use your action to activate...
A light corona. Yeah.
Oh, yes! Yep.
Corona are
Stick a lime
water.
in me. I'm done. I just love to stare down when we say stupid shit. The people at home
I'm
can't
like
see.
trying to have some sort of like integrity
The
and,
people at home can't see, but we just stare him down whenever we say dumb shit.
every single time. So anyways, you activate an aura of sunlight that lasts for 1 minute or until you dismiss it. You emit bright light as a 60-foot radius and dim light 30 feet beyond that. Your enemies in the bright light has disadvantage on saving throws against any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. Not your spells that deal fire or radiant. Any spell that deals fire or radiant.
I'm
Get
sorry.
to be friends with your sorcerer. Get to be friends with your wizard.
No. What's that? We have a paladin in the party? I will be a light cleric.
Yeah.
Those smites are just like, they're already
Well, it's just
overpowered.
disadvantage on saving throws, right? Like, there's no saving throw involved with
Okay,
a lot of the
all right.
smites. But, like, fireball,
Fireball.
Yeah.
right? Nothing saying
Is fire or what? Radiant?
fire or radiant,
Yeah.
right? Scorch. Even go the lower one and have, like, what is it?
Burning
Sacred
Hands?
Flame.
No, Burning Hands is not. It's a
Burn-
cone, is it? I don't know.
Burning Hands is a cone. There's a dexterity save to it. So, like, such a powerful ability that is ruined by saying, and here's a fire elemental.
Yeah, okay.
Right? But, I mean, you take Elemental Adept, and that's kind of mitigated a bit. But I love this. These guys are just here to eradicate shadow and darkness from the world. I love them.
I feel like his holy symbol is a phoenix.
Or a sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're a sun, a phoenix, ball of solid fire, like something. Like this is the guy who's carrying around a torch, not because he needs to see, but because it's open flame.
Yeah,
Right?
like
This is the guy that gets continual flame cast on his
it's
paltries.
Beric Dondarrion. Just
Yeah,
Here we
that's
go,
that's
right?
what it is.
All right. Was there anything else to this guy?
No, that's it. They're just all about burning things.
Okay.
Fire.
So I wanted to grab onto the most normal and boring of all cleric subclasses, the life domain. Nobody gives a damn. We know that you run around and heal
Domain
people.
of life.
Yeah. So remember, when you're a dwarf cleric in your life domain, your movement is less than everyone else's, and you will be the last one to the party. Save all of your healing or all of your spell slots to heal, because that's your job. That's all I did. That's all I did for all of Curse of Straw.
During the massive charge into Ravenloft. You were the last one.
I had two glowing moments of brilliance. One of them was Spiritual Guardians were running through a pack of zombies, and the other one was when I got to smash Straw's face with the Warhammer because he fell over.
Yep.
Those are good stories, but that's it. Out of like 5 months of playing, everything else I did was heal.
Yep.
Anyway, life domain. I'm so bored with this, and then I read it, and I'm like, I think I played it wrong. So, the gods of life
again.
Mulligan, Terry, can you DM, please?
Don't fucking fuck Curse of Strahd on that epic level again.
Oh, it was so good, though. Anyways, the gods of life promote vitality and health through healing the sick and wounded. You get life domain spells, including Bless. Okay, that makes sense. Cure wounds. Really?
You get cure wounds as a
Cure wounds.
Cure wounds.
My God. I wonder if we also... Oh, lesser
Lesser
restoration.
restoration. There it is.
My God.
Shocker.
Revivify.
Bless, aka shit Bane. It's just reverse Bane.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Spiritual weapon, which is, I can't get involved in this fight, so I will stay back here to heal and let my weapon do the work for me. Beacon of Hope, Revivify, because of course, and Revivify.
Beacon of Hope is also like my healing is amplified, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the amplification spell.
Yep, makes sense. Revivify, Death Ward. Oh, you died? No, you didn't. Guardian of Faith. Here's a great big...
Angel, I think, right? Celestial of
Yeah,
some kind.
that's going to stand in the way. It's like super tall and will deal out 60 points of damage till it just nopes out. Mass Cure Wounds and Raise Dead. Mass Cure Wounds and Raise Dead. Now we're talking. At 9th level, you're going to get these innately. This is where I'm a little bit more interested. Why is I'm doing everything in the name of life, raising the dead?
Yeah.
I'm turning undead. My channel divinity is called Preserve Life, but I'm raising the dead. It's an interesting dichotomy to this, and I think the only reason that the cleric got it is because they're like, I don't know, what else is a 5th level spell that can fit...
Well, no, I disagree with that because it brings in the aspect of raising dead isn't so much, the act of interrupting death. It is the act of continuing life. Right, so like
I would
say that would be the length. That is the length that they want to do here.
Does Raise Dead create? Does it create undead, or does it bring them back to life?
Raise Dead brings you back to life.
Does it?
Yes, it's not. It's not raise undead. It's not command undead. I think is what the spell's called.
As we wait, internet, while we find.
What is the difference between Raise Dead and Revivify?
Revivify can only happen within a minute
limit?
of them being dead, and it's a action. It's a bonus action to cast. Like it's something stupid.
All right, the next time somebody else is talking, I'm looking up Raise Dead because I need. No,
Okay.
I said I would do it. Dan, put your book down.
No, you go over your
This
class.
is my domain.
You go over your class. I'll figure it out.
I have social media tips for people.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a bonus proficiency.
We had a meeting and we vetoed your right to do that shit. After what happened last week,
What?
never again.
Nobody heard. Did you listen to it?
Yeah.
Do I listen to it? I'm the editor. Yes, I listened to it.
What is he doing? He's ruining us.
If you're confused listening at home, go listen to what happens after the end credits on the last episode.
Yep.
So,
Change your game.
anyways, back to the life domain. You get a bonus proficiency, so you get your heavy armor. Now we're talking, you can get in and heal. This was my complaint earlier, was that you couldn't do that. Now you can. So I'm a little bit happier. Your discipline of life, this is what I like. When you use the spell of first level or higher to restore hit points, so all of them, the creature regains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. So you're doing a minimum of an additional 3 every time you cast it.
Nice.
Right? That's really helpful. Your preserve life, as an action, you present your holy symbol and evoke healing energy that can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your cleric level. It's poor man's lay on hands. But you can choose any creatures within 30 feet of you and divide these hit points among them, which makes it a little bit more versatile than lay on hands. Mm-hmm. Lay on hands really feels like a short rest ability. This feels like a mid-combat ability.
Okay.
Blessed Healer. When you cast a spell on other people, it heals you as well. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's actually pretty good, because that's always the struggle as a cleric. I'm quite selfish cleric. I don't give a fuck. I'll heal myself all day long. But that is the struggle, right?
Yeah, I don't think Azrael's ever healed Lucky. But he's just all like, oh, you suffering little gnome.
You probably hate the fact that I have an ASMR cleric that is named Azrael as well. That's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
So his middle name is Gabriel.
So his last name is Michaels.
Gabriel Michaels.
So the thing that I like about this so far is that my problem is if you're wading into battle to actually get hit while you're trying to heal others and bring them back from the brink, and you're just taking damage, this is just a trade-off, right? Instead of the bad guys hitting the people that are hurt, they're hitting you instead, and you're restoring it. You're essentially trading your hit points for another party members. But now with your heavy armor and your ability to heal yourself and your ability to heal people from 30 feet away, you're just getting better and better and better at this. You get Divine Strike at 8th level. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal extra radiant damage. At 14th, it goes up to 2d8 from 1d8.
Good.
Yeah, that's all right. Your Divine Strike, though, Terry, for nature, was not radiant. It was specifically the others.
Fire, cold, or lightning.
This is where you get the radiant.
Right.
So it doesn't come standard. And then at 17th level, you get Supreme Healing. When you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points with a spell, you instead use the highest number possible for each die. Maximum rolls. For example, instead of restoring 2d6, you restore 12. Can you think about your mass cure wounds at that point?
Yeah, that's huge.
That is massive. This is where you want your life domain cleric. This is a really neat, better than the standard clerics that I remember from previous editions. And when I was playing Bargus, who was a dwarf cleric, right, and he was a life domain, he was walking around trying to catch up, and I think he was only like level 5. He didn't get a lot of the cool stuff yet. Yeah. I think he maxed out at level 6 before we swapped.
Yeah.
And there was not a whole lot for him to do in Ravenloft as well, right? Everything is kind of undead, so he's turning undead and spiritual weapon, and that's it. Like,
I've got raised dead here, and it is raising to life. Yeah, you
Is
return a dead creature you touch to life. It's the diamond worth 500 gold.
Okay.
Is that
well,
that's what
that makes a little more sense.
All right,
right? And it's like the spell closes all mortal wounds. It doesn't restore missing body parts. That's a thing.
I like that.
If a creature is lacking body parts or organs eternal for its survival, its head, for instance, the spell automatically fails.
Okay. So you're good with the gallbladder, but...
Yeah, coming back from the dead is an ordeal. The target takes -4 penalty to all attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks. Every time the target finishes a long rest, the penalty is reduced by 1 until it disappears.
Okay.
Yeah, that part is never played. It's like, oh, you're raised from the dead, and now you're good to go about and adventure again. No, you're fucked until you deal with things.
And I think that if you're going to have a cleric that is like a life cleric that is pulling people back up from the dead, they're revivifying and whatnot, I'm using maximum potential hit points on my monsters. I'm going to have them be smarter all of the time. There's going to be a little bit more intelligence. I'm going to really go balls to the wall with my DMing style.
I'm going to definitely target the person who's healing people more.
Yeah, and every once in a while I will target the rest of the party members so that this is the last man standing. And he heals them all back. He brings them back. What's the time limit on Raised Dead? Is there one?
How long? Like
no, there is not one. No, the casting time's an hour.
No, but the time limit. Like, they can only be so dead.
No. No longer than 10 days.
No longer than 10 days. Okay, so you go from 1 hour to 10 days, right? This, I would kill the entire party, have the cultists, because it's always cultists, take all of the body members, or all of the body members, all of the party members' body parts away, and then the cleric has to go for the next session, get new adventurers, so your players get to roll up new people, go out to rescue the originals.
Yep.
And you have 10 days to do it. And it's going to be super hard, and it's high stress, and that's a lot of fun and a good way to counter the TPK that you're not expecting to happen. If you roll a random encounter and the T-Rexes just like destroy the party and then drag their bodies back to feed their young, which will hatch soon.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a good way to undo this, to have the cleric be the one that was not targeted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not sent to actual death.
Yep.
My only complaint about this is, as cool as it is for healing and resurrection, 5th Ed is D&D on easy mode in the first place. I'm not a fan of things that just make it easier. Yep. I straight up have built a homebrew campaign where you cannot cast Revivify. It doesn't freaking exist, and there is no access to diamonds. Because I need death to mean something.
Yeah.
Right? And it just doesn't in 5th edition.
That fear of death has to be real.
It's gone by level 3.
You can't just be going into every encounter like, well, the cleric will just bring us back. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, and so if your party is starting to do that, because you have a life domain cleric, you have Adam's permission to go balls to the wall and give them dragons to fight at level 8.
Adam has given you permission to do that.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% say that if they want to have a life cleric or a life domain cleric in the party, they're playing on hard mode now. Mm-hmm. Dear players, you need to know that you are now imbalancing the entire campaign, and your DM is going to come at you. And they're going to do things that you don't like steal your items and attack the character sheet and whatnot, because it's not about hit points anymore. You've circumvented that.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
That's like the third time you guys said yep at the same time this episode.
Yeah, we've done it so much.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on?
I'm going to switch languages. What?
Anything else you guys wanted to touch on briefly?
No. You can't speak French. I'm doing French.
It's the same fucking word.
Carlisma. Tabernacle.
Okay, I got one other thing that I want to go through real quickly, and you guys are going to love this because you get to listen to me talk a little bit more before we move on to the last thing. I want to do a list for you guys. Dan's already bored. Here are the cleric-only spells. You have to be a cleric to get these. Now, there are ways around this. There's your Divine Soul. There's your Bardic knowledges and whatnot. But here's what you need, or here's what you get. I'll start from cantrips and I'll work my way through it really quickly. You have to be a cleric to get Sacred Flame, Spare the Dying, Thaumaturgy, Word of Radiance, Guiding Bolt, Inflict Wounds, Sanctuary, Augury, Prayer of Healing, Spiritual Weapon, Warding Bond, Beacon of Hope, Mass Healing Word, Spirit Guardians, Divination, Guardian of Faith, Commune, Flame Strike, Hallow, Blade Barrier, Forbiddance. That was one of my favorites. Harm, Planar Ally, Word of Recall, Conjure Celestial, Divine Word, Temple of the Gods, Holy Aura, and Mass Heal.
Oh, I think Planar Ally was the one I was thinking of, where it's like an angel or something comes. Maybe it's Guardian of Faith? I can't remember.
I can tell you what Guardian of Faith is.
Guardian of Faith, like the massive angelic radiant being is summoned. Yeah, that's definitely true.
A large spectral guardian appears and hovers for the duration, so up to 8 hours in an unoccupied space. If you don't have access to Lehman's tiny hut, you set this guy up as someone to guard.
Sentry.
Yeah, the guardian occupies a space and is indistinct except for a gleaming sword and shield emblazoned with the symbol of your deity. Any creature hostile to you that moves to a space within 10 feet of the guardian for the first time on a turn must succeed a Dex saving throw. The creature takes 20 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. The guardian vanishes when it's dealt a total of 60 damage. So that's that's Guardian. It's one of the ones that comes standard with the life domain. So
Yeah.
I got one last question before we move on. Do the shout out real quick.
Sure.
Okay, and let's do it in the same order. Terry, you went first.
Yeah.
Okay, when you are building with your stats,
What?
Yeah.
Mr. German.
You got all Scandinavian on me.
Wait.
so when you are building your specific nature,
Yeah.
everybody is building with wisdom and con and strength, right? That is how you start working at your cleric, right? What is the next most important stat?
What did you say there? Wisdom,
Con and strength.
strength.
What's your fourth?
Okay, depends how you want to play. I would say either intelligence or charisma.
For nature?
Yeah.
Charisma.
I would say charisma because you got all that animal handling stuff going on. You're doing a lot of animal handling.
For nature, yeah.
Dan, what about for yours? For light,
Dexterity.
is it dexterity? You've
Yeah.
got a lot of saves. That you're
And
damage
you
dealers.
don't get medium armor. You don't get heavy
armor.
armor with it. So your dex is actually going to matter.
You didn't go with intelligence for the illumination theme.
Enlightenment, yeah, I mean, it fits the theme a little bit, but it's by no means supported by the mechanics. It's just all the theme of it. I mean, you get scrying, and that's just the only thing that leads in that direction. And I view a light cleric as kind of abrasive by nature. He's the, holier than thou, by fire be purged guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not charismatic at all. Right?
okay.
So I'd say dexterity. Like, he's out there to cause trouble, so he needs to be able to maneuver around the trouble he's causing.
Yeah, I would say it's dex for the light or for the life as well, because if you're healing, you're going to be in area of effects.
Yeah.
And most of those are dexterity saves.
Yeah.
And it's dex or whiz, and you've already got a high wisdom, so there's that. Do you guys have a shout out that you want to...
No.
No, I do. So last one of the episodes, it might have been last week, it might have been 2 weeks ago. We shouted out Katie, who has done all of our art.
Yep.
I want to shout out Corey, who does our music. Now we've commented a couple times that I'm a musician, I'm a bass player, and we've alluded to the fact that I've played these songs. I don't. It is my friend Corey, who's a fantastic bassist, one of the best bassists I've ever met. Great guy.
He's the one that plays that funky music, white boy.
He's the white boy that plays that funky
Are
music.
you calling him white boy? Is
Every
this
time.
funky
Every
music,
single
comma,
time.
white boy?
Every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Corey, I sent him a message and was like, hey, I'm doing this podcast thing and just need something. And he's like, sure. And within a day, I had 4 little tracks. He's like, here are these. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this one up a bit at a tempo. Let's change this one a little bit. And that's how we have our intro music and the outro music for the podcast, or through Corey. He's not really out there in terms of you could buy his music or anything else like that. I just want to shout him out. He's great.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
He doesn't have an Instagram page that's kind of open up to the public, so he's got not really...
He's unplugged from the Matrix.
He's unplugged
He's
from
truly
the
free.
Instagram Matrix.
He's truly free.
Reach out and find out if he has a Twitter handle that he wants anyone to
Yeah,
follow him.
and we'll put it on there. But he's just a great guy, and I just wanted to thank him for all of the work he's done, because he's put in a lot of effort so that we actually sound somewhat legitimate.
Yeah, our music's pretty sick.
Yeah,
to be
our
honest.
music's pretty
Thanks,
incredible.
Corey.
So yeah, shout out to Corey.
Cool. Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, now, so for the last thing I want to do, I've ranted and bitched about clerics before, and I will again.
And again.
Yeah, and again.
And again.
And again.
You done?
You all right there?
Yeah.
Is it
No,
okay?
sorry, it's just a little bit of PTSD flashback of you complaining about clerics again.
And again?
And again.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so let's...
I get so few moments to make Terry upset. I cherish these moments.
Let's talk about archetypes, stereotypes, personal builds that you would want to see for specifically your cleric domain or the domains that we've spoken about today. Yeah. We'll roll initiative for it again.
Yep. Probably going to win.
God knows I won't.
Nope.
Oh! I tied it down.
I came last, ladies and gentlemen.
I rolled 2 8s.
I got a 16. So
So did I, technically.
I'm going last.
You're going last.
Actually, you know what? I've been doing pretty good for a little while.
So,
Oh my God.
so we're doing character builds?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking? Okay, so
Characters.
I've always liked the light cleric in past editions where you've played the cleric that casts the fireball. I've always enjoyed being able to do that. But what I want to do with this guy is he's the crazy dude with the sandwich board on the side of the street.
With a sandwich board on the side of the street.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
the
thought he
sandwich
said
board.
the crazy dude with the samurai sword on the side. Of
I
the
heard
street.
that first too,
I was
and then I'm
like,
like, what's... No, I know
Sandwich
Dan.
I was like,
board.
No, I nearly went. I swear I've seen that dude down East Hastings or something on the way into Vancouver.
There is legitimately a guy that walks around Vancouver with a samurai sword. I've seen him talking to the police. I'm not joking, because when I worked downtown, I would drive in all the time.
Yeah.
That is legitimately
This is
something.
why I stay in the burbs.
Like he's not just doesn't just work at Academy Duello or whatever it is down there.
No. I think that he's a crazy person.
And Academy Duelo doesn't do katana.
Oh, it's just
And
like
or-
longsword.
and-
They do like spears and stuff.
Yeah, they do mostly medieval arts. They're
Shout out
fantastic.
to those
Shout out to
guys.
Academy Duelo. They're fantastic. I've wanted to do courses there for 8.
Dude, I'll do that with you. It looks so
Really?
good. I drive by it
Dude,
like
do
3
not
times a
tempt
week.
me with this. I will
I
love
drive
to
by
do
it like
it.
3 times a week. It looks so good. They have
Yeah.
a night camp going on now, but apparently at 31, I'm too old by about 20 years. So, but it looks really good.
Well, if you would shave that dirt on your face right off, you might be able to pass it.
So, I have a friend. Okay, I have a friend. I have multiple. Actually,
Do you?
I have multiple. I have a friend, and she is a real woman. And she reached out to me with like a special shampoo to make my fucking beard grow. She was like, "Your beard
Is it called
Is it Rogaine?
Yeah, no, it's like something else. Where she was like, "No, like men everywhere are using it," and I'm like, "Bear in mind that I am a human man and I interact with men everywhere constantly, and I've never heard of anyone using a special shampoo to make their beard grow."
That's because no man is going to admit.
And I'm a half elf anyway, so this
No,
is
I straight up have special beard shampoo, which doesn't necessarily make it grow better.
Makes it fuller.
It makes it fuller. It feels better.
Yeah, I oil. I oil it.
So
to
do
that,
I. Yeah. We'll give you some tips.
Don't you think like I like it's kind of light, it's kind of a little bit like
I was actually looking at it earlier. Like I looked over and saw like the
It's alright.
reflection. Like the,
I can only see it when you pass in front of a light.
is it
Yeah.
no fuck off. It's like that. Like people say, I see all the time in pictures. I'm like, you guys see my like it's like Hollywood stubble. It's like a little bit. It's a little bit sexy.
You have a little bit of like the 2004
Orlando Bloom.
Johnny Depp.
Oh,
style.
yeah.
That's I would say that's what I'm going for. That's what I've got. That's my option.
But the problem is it's blonde.
Yeah.
So you have to be in direct sunlight for anyone to see it.
It's sexy though, don't you think?
It kind of.
I'm a little aroused.
It kind of looks like you got a bit too overeager in your bag of Cheetos, and it's just kind of smeared in a pattern.
Dan,
It's
you're
fucking
just
awful.
not a nice person.
Anyways,
Dan, why
so
are you such a dick all the time to me and Adam?
this is my revenge for the coughing and the constant bitching and the ceaseless berating.
we never complain. When do we complain?
Not once have we.
Not
ever
once
complained.
have we complained.
False, patently false.
False.
Anyways,
Okay.
my character that I want to build is
Flamer.
He's a soothsayer of sorts, right? He is trying to get people to understand that the end is coming, and he is going to protect the village that the corner he stands on by fire. He is screaming and yelling at people. That's just the flavor I'm putting on him there. He's trying to get this information out. He's a bit off. He's a bit kooky. He's like chaotic neutral, maybe true neutral, maybe neutral evil. Like and if there is a sinner that walks by him, he will purge them by fire. Right? Like that. This is the character I would do with this. I don't think I want to lean away from him being good aspect. And he just is a crazy sandwich board standing on a
What's his name?
milk crate. I don't know, Crazy Steve,
Crazy Steve.
like one-eyed Jerry on the street,
Shout out to, but he's got both eyes. And no
but
one
he's got
knows
both
why.
eyes. Yeah.
He has no eyes.
Both of them burned out,
shout
just hollow
out
sockets.
to shout out to One Eyed Jerry.
So that's me.
That's you. Who went second? Adam.
Yeah, hold on. I want to. Now you can't do this because of the Underdark, and maybe you can homebrew this. What I would do with a character like that is I'm thinking of what movie was it? Was it Solaris or no? It wasn't Solaris. It was Sunshine, the Danny Boyle one. They got to go restart the sun. If I have
Sunshine.
yeah, it's Sunshine, not Sunshine Cleaning. That's very different.
You and I were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, so I would do something where you have to keep the eternal flame lit, a pilgrimage for this kind of thing. If there needs to be, like, I'm Phoenix flavoring this, fire elementals. You're going to the city of brass, in the plane of fire. We're gonna really lean into the fire aspect.
Yeah, but I also wanted to lean into the hyper religious, the super religious side of things is what I wanted to lean in with him as well. Like he's following the tenets of his faith to a punctuation mark.
Well, can you please make him a Triton?
Just steams.
Yeah. Every time he's angry, just like literal steam out the ears.
Always asking for a glass of water.
Yeah. He just like coughs through every single podcast.
Yeah.
Every social,
what kind of asshole would do that, right?
Every social encounter.
Damn
it, Jerry!
A wide one.
I haven't done it once. Have you noticed? I haven't coughed once.
All right.
Coughed once.
Your turn, Ab.
So my thing, I've been thinking about life a lot lately.
God, and it's reading. And is it worth it?
And now he
life
has his
is
existential
not
crisis on the podcast.
So life domain specifically, and I was thinking about how much fun it would be to be called and not understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're going to talk about that a little bit, Terry.
Mine's going to be a little different, I'm sure.
My big thing is I want to do a faith healer.
Oh, God.
But like Southern Baptist.
No! Oh, my God.
I think that session 1.
You're going over, pushing a bunch of people over?
Speaking in tongues.
No. The thing is, how many people, how many wizards and sorcerers and cultists and stuff, the people that are out there that are trying to gain a following, even like champion fighters want their legend spread. This should be a guy who is actively trying to get followers. Give him a bunch of NPCs and have him heal through the word of his god. And I myself would build him to only heal certain people based on my personal whim.
This is how you have a party fight.
Yeah, there would be one party member, then I would clear it with the player ahead of time. I'm never going to heal you. You need to get your health from somewhere else because you're a necromancer
If you send $5 and a check to me and you pray, you will be rewarded tenfold.
But
this ministry deserves a jet. I hate those guys.
I think that he starts this entire organization with the bard, and the bard gets the people in, and he faith heals in front of everybody. And this is what you do with your downtime. And you'd have them. The goal is, I'd ask you DM by level 12, can I be fairly famous? I want people flocking to me, where I spend my downtime healing people. If my character dies, I want people weeping in the streets, right? Oh, he'll come back. The legends have foretold that he's not truly dead. The healing power of his god, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right? So I would really play into that, and I would also be super egotistical. Every time that you get healed, you're welcome.
Yeah. Fuck! I hate him.
I hate this guy so much.
This guy, I'd be like,
never play
just
this
let
guy.
me die.
I will just turn and drive my sword into his throat.
I'd be like, DM, just let me die. Just let me die. Don't let me be revived.
But
can I resist the healing spell? I don't know. You're on your second death save.
Oh my god!
Can I resist the healing spell?
You'd always be getting people to speak in tongues and stuff.
There would be so much fun, and you would pick your spells around this too, and a lot of it would be social, right? And a lot of it would be I cast tongues, right? And you would do things like that. I think that's a load of fun.
Start speaking celestial.
Yeah, right. It's just infernal backwards. So,
Exactly.
I love that so much.
So, I would very much lead it like you would see. There would be like a Glabrezu steps forward, and you just turn to the ranger and go, "I need an old priest and a young priest." Right? Like I really, that's how I would play this.
Oh my god, I would love it.
Just constantly have a little cup that you say is holy water. You're just splashing people in the face as you walk by them.
Yeah, absolutely, and see, I would definitely have like the flagon of wine with me all the time. I'd be like, this is not for drinking. This is a spell component. And it would be my holy symbol, and I would hold it up, and I would toast people. And it would be like the holy symbol on the goblet itself, and I would just be like, to you, friend. And then take a little sip.
I thought that was not for drinking.
It's not for you to drink.
Just
anyways.
constantly just blessing people as well that don't want. Stop blessing me all the time. Bless
Yeah.
your child.
And I would walk into taverns and be like, it is I, and like pronounce the bard gives the whole big spiel and would introduce me and the rest of the party, my altar boys.
Just your barbarian wearing like the smock is like no. No. Like sulking and pouting is like, as long as I get my beer, I'll do this.
Yeah. Anyways, Terry, what do you got?
Oh man, I don't know if I can follow that, to be honest.
That character makes me so mad. Like we've done a couple of these things now, and none of these all the characters have been like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, that's pretty decent. I will fucking murder this guy.
Yeah.
Oh. He knows and he forgives you. And he'll be
sanctimonious piece of shit.
And he'll be back in 3 days.
One step like, over the line. Hey.
Just reviving you as well. Just you be the first thing that you see. We haven't lost you yet, brother.
But I think his deception is got to be one of the skills. I would take a background where he's proficient with deception, so that he can straight up lie to people. If he comes back from the dead, he can look at them and be like, "My God is the true God. I saw him. I spoke with him." Right? It's all a lie.
She just played a bard posing as a cleric.
Oh my God! All right, now hold on. I got to build that. Terry, you do your thing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stick with the nature domain, which is what I was talking about before. I like the idea of a child discovered somewhere in the woods, in the mountains, desert, nature.
Becomes an altar boy. I'm following.
Does not become your altar boy. Does not become your
Tarzan?
Altar boy. Shut up! It's my turn. This is why I don't like going last, okay? Because everybody's already done.
We don't need to hear about the Dalai Lama.
Shut the fuck up!
How about the child's toy, the Lama Dolly?
Okay. The child is the child of God, okay? Or his God. And, because it's nature, plants move around him and things.
So, as he talks about the plants move
around. Okay,
but
no, it's about how he deals with the fame of growing up from a child as this cleric that's sent by the gods, and how he handles that. Like Justin Bieber. So, is he going to go off the rails?
What do you mean, is he? You mean, has he?
Are we talking about Bieber or my child?
You Bieber.
Both of them are my children. And basically, his story arc is he is already known around the world. He's already known around the world. Even though he's level 1, starts level 1, he's low powered. The legend spread, and it's how does he handle
Is he like born under a comet or
how
something?
Does it affect his life? Yeah, whatever backstory bullshit you want to come up with, but for whatever reason, or under a fucking star or something like that, he's known to be this thing, and his story arc, his backstory leading into the campaign is how does he handle, how does he develop growing up, leveling up under this fame? Does it make or break him?
I would have a monk character be a mentor to him.
Yeah.
Right?
And it could be one of those joint backstories.
Yeah, and have the two players, if they're willing to work together, do something like that. That's cool. Like, maybe his thing is he doesn't have parents. He was discovered...
Shocker.
No. But he never had parents in the first place. He was birthed from the jungle.
Yeah.
And somebody found him, cradled in leaves.
Like Ace Ventura. When they took from the rhino?
No. Not quite. Well... No. not like that. But, I mean, can you imagine Genasi, screams this kind of character?
Yeah.
Eladrin, maybe, right? If you're going into the nature domain?
Mm-hmm.
Does that...
Yeah. But that's what I'm thinking.
I like
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm trying to think how I would handle that character as a DM. I would do a lot of... there would have to be a lot of... If not urban...
You could have a paladin, sworn to him.
Like an Oath of Protection paladin that follows him around. That's like
you could
bodyguard.
Go full mountain Game of Thrones, like Gregor Clegane type. Psycho.
Well, you would also have
that follows him.
You could also have him be if he's the prophesied savior or messiah of this.
Or her. You know what?
religion.
I might play this as a female character.
But if that's the case, you could have his protector. Sure, you should have a cult that is trying to take him down.
Yeah.
And take him out. So, as a DM, you base the fact that there's this cult out there that is seeking this person, wherever they are in the world, to kill them. You use that as a thing. So this little boy character, little girl character, whatever they are, is constantly, hyper actively paranoid about everything that's going around because these operatives could spring out and slit her throat in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I would have as a DM... I would lean into that as being one of the major factors of the story so that there are tragic and heroic moments for this character. And I think I would spend all the time, every time I'm done an arc, whether it's a dungeon or an ambush or anything that's not on a random table, I would turn to this player, I would turn to you, Terry, and I would say, how does that make your character feel?
Yeah.
And really let you choose these moments of, it's not really a redemption or corruption arc, but where do you land on the scale of, like...
Yeah, how is your faith in humanity or whatever? Where are you turning?
The only problem with this character is, in terms of a D&D game, he runs the danger of being the main character, and then all of the other players at the table are supporting cast.
Well, that was the problem with mine as well. And I'm aware of that. Like, I would walk in and just drive everybody else up the fucking wall.
Yeah.
Right? Like, my character is batshit insane.
Yeah, now suddenly it's about you. Yeah, you're right.
I think that I would temper my character to be blind.
Yeah.
So I can only cast spells, or I'm rolling with disadvantage to hit. Right? As a blind faith healer, that thematically fits, and it would temper the ego quite a bit. Right? Your character would be the main character, but... maybe insofar
but it's also a child, so like that tempers that a little bit.
Yeah, it may be like, and at this point you may be talking really low physical stats compared to higher mental stats or something.
Yeah, I like that. Where, I mean, your con would still be high.
You're not going to be strong, are you? If you're like 9.
No.
You know?
No, I'd give you some dex, right? But
yeah,
your intelligence is probably not super high.
Con should be low. Yeah, you should be squishy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I like it. Is there anything else that we wanna go over with?
With regards to Clerics.
In regards to Clerks, it's a great movie.
Is it?
We call it.
Yes.
Give it another watch.
We call it.
No,
Clocks in my
I've
country.
watched it many times.
So
I'm quite a fan,
all right.
especially the Clerks too.
We call it Clocks.
But that's mostly because I love Rosario Dawson. I'll watch anything she's in.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyways, is there anything else we want to talk about as far as Clerics go?
I don't have anything else.
I think that we should really take a moment to talk about pantheons sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe do a special,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe one of the lore episodes, or even world building. One of the world buildings.
Yeah.
On the pantheons that exist and how to use them. And then maybe another one on how to homebrew a pantheon.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a plan.
So, other than that, we're going to jump into Druids next week. We're going to hit the 2 in the player's handbook, and what was the other one?
Shepherds from Xanathos.
Shepherds, cool. So stay tuned for that. And you can find us on Instagram. Dan, what's your handle?
At Oscar the Orc. Oscar_the_orc.
Terry?
At SendNoobsDND.
And I'm at Rusty Styrofoam. You can catch any of us at It's a Mimic. And you can catch us on Twitter at It's Mimic D&D. Also follow us on Facebook. We rarely look at it, but I like more than 5 followers, so...
Yeah.
I don't want to buy your essential oils and healing crystals, okay? And I don't give a fuck about what you don't agree with the teacher's doing in your school. That's Facebook, right? That's Facebook, isn't it?
Facebook is also crazy old people pushing the racist agendas.
No, you're not wrong.
We always look at Dan for like, Dan, it's true. And then he's like, yes, it is true. Can't even argue with that.
Anyways.
It's like I'm the arbiter of truth on this podcast for some reason. I don't understand.
It's because you are slightly the most moral out of us. Slightly? Slightly. That's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking with it.
Have you met you?
Yeah, I'm awesome.
Thank you for listening to It's a Mimic. Check us out online at itsamimic.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have questions you would like answered by the guys on the show? Send them an email to itsamimic@gmail.com. Tune in every Tuesday for more.